Good evening. I forgot I had the volume turned up. So, got an interesting topic tonight, and I got a video to play for you, and I'm gonna play it in its entirety. I know there are several copies of it going around that's actually trimmed. It's edited down. And, there are individuals that's voiced concern of, maybe the video is altered or edited. So I've got a copy of the whole video that was made. And it is concerning what she has to say. But I experienced something many years ago. And let me tell you, it was truly eye-opening to me. It really, truly was. So, what I'm referring to is a video that was put up on TikTok. And I don't know, I think it shows the handle and whatever. But this young woman is threatening Americans. She's truly threatening Americans. And she's doing it under the guise of having the powers of martial law. Okay? And that still does not grant military right to fire on American citizens. In fact, they're not even supposed to be deployed. Posse Comitatus Act. They're not even supposed to be deployed for any type of civilian control type of role. That's clearly defined. So anyway, there's another level of this. It's not about whether or not it's on a piece of paper. It's about whether or not the people will do it. That is the question you have to ask, not what's on paper. So, many years ago, and I honestly, off the top of my head, I don't remember what years. 2008, I reckon. There's a little thing going on called Occupy Wall Street. Now, I know a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth for Occupy Wall Street. But when it initially started, it was a totally different thing than what it became, not even real far into its movement. When Occupy Wall Street was created, it was much like the Tea Party. It really truly was. If you looked at the goals, because don't let anybody bullshit you, don't let mainstream media bullshit you. They had goals, they had a list of things that they were looking for, and they had a website. It was right there on there, you couldn't miss it. But mainstream media spun it off as, a bunch of kids don't know what they're doing, don't know what they want. That wasn't the case whatsoever. Now, hear me out. It got co-opted. And that same thing happened to the Tea Party. It happens to every single movement. You can guarantee one thing, that if you start a movement, that at some point it will be heavily, and I mean heavily, infiltrated. And it's technically special forces that are doing it. But it's not the special forces that are a part of the army, per se, okay? But essentially that's their role, that's what they do, and they work for the federal government. And they will infiltrate these movements. And they don't have to destroy them. All they have to do is steer them. All they have to do is misguide them a little bit and get them off into a direction that is not going to sustain itself. That's all they got to do. And that is exactly what happened to both the Tea Party and Occupy Wall Street. Exactly. And they'll do it time and time and time again. It's how they handle that. Now, mind you, there were some true leaders of the Occupy Wall Street movement no longer with us because, strange things happen. So during this time, the reason I'm telling you about Occupy Wall Street is because I was initially behind everything they stood for. They were talking about ending the Federal Reserve. Seems like a good idea. They were talking about making the bankers accountable. The whole real estate mess in 2008. They wanted to hold them accountable for all of that. They wanted to hold Wall Street accountable for selling out the American people. They wanted to hold the government accountable for allowing all of that to happen. Seemed like they had good intentions to me. So I paid very close attention to their message and their movement. And I watched live streams like you would not believe. That's where I found out about Tim Pool and Luke Wadowski. We Are Change. Two of the most incredible channels, in my opinion. And I'll tell you, I was standing in my old living room, and an active duty Marine on leave looked me dead in the eye and told me flat out that he wished they would deploy U.S. troops to the streets. He would love to crack some protesters' skulls. Jason Bergman. I got no problem saying his name. He shouldn't be ashamed of having that stance, should he? Nah, he said it. He shouldn't be ashamed of saying it. He should be proud of saying it, right? I stand behind the things I say. So, anyway, that put a really kind of bad taste in my mouth. Not towards military, but towards some of the military. Those that join up because they have an authority complex. Because absolutely, you have those. In fact, I will bring to you Exhibit A, if you will. So, I'm telling you, there have been factions of our military that have had this attitude for quite some time. That was 2008. And I believe that was 2000. Yeah. And if I am wrong on the year, I don't think I am, though, because I think it was when Obama got elected. Because that was the other thing, too. They tried spinning it off saying that Occupy Wall Street were Obama supporters, and they actually weren't. Obama asked to speak at one of the events. I kid you not. Obama asked to speak at one of the events, and they declined. They wouldn't let him speak. That doesn't sound like they were too hip with his message to me. So, anyway, and I know I keep going back to that, but that was a pivotal point, in my opinion, in history in this country. It really, truly was. Because if you realize how big that movement was, it's crazy that to think that it could have got squashed. And there's only one reason why it did, ladies and gentlemen. There is only one reason why it did, and there's a lesson to be learned in it. And I told them, because see, they camped out at city parks, right? That was their thing, and I'm sure those old enough will remember. They camped out at city parks. And here's the thing. The cops went through and did what they called evictions, right? After long enough time, and they got things, they got enough people kind of turned against them that the crowds dwindled down. I mean, I'm not kidding you. You can Google it. And, I mean, the protests, none of the protests, not even the protests over in London and the UK and all those foreign places, because we don't have them that big here. All the protests that are in these foreign countries, where they're huge, and I'm talking like the Yellow Vest movement, even. Occupy Wall Street dwarfed the Yellow Vest movement. Just in that country alone, and Occupy Wall Street was worldwide. Millions upon millions upon millions of people participated in that. And what resulted of that effort? Nothing. Because the government missteered them. And the media made it 1,000,000 times worse with their false reporting. See it happen then, too. Not just now. You know, I'll never forget how many times I heard that Ammon Bundy was a racist. Absolutely not. But that was how the media spun him. They have to destroy your character to destroy your message. So anyway, it dwindled down enough, and the cops just went in and just literally ran them all out. Ran them all out of the public parks. And I even warned them. I told them. Because there was one thing that the Occupy Wall Street movement, they had like bylaws, and there were a bunch of people that started putting in anti-gun bylaws. Now, we already know in New York that's a thing, right? But all over the rest of the country, not so much. And, you know, concealed carry was a thing in a lot of places, as well as open carry, even at that time. And I told them, if you allow those bylaws to get put in, you're done. You're done when they're ready, because as long as they know that you're policing yourself to be unarmed, they're going to walk right over you when they're tired of you. They're going to squash you like a bug, and there ain't going to be anything you can do about it. Guess what happened? Guess what happened? That one difference. That's all I'm saying. That one difference. Back to the point, and, you know, this particular video, because I'm not saying it's all military. By no means. It's a sliver, especially a tiny sliver of the military back in 2008. Okay, much tinier than what there is today. And that's why I wanted to talk about today, because it's monumentally important to consider that they have been systematically removing a lot of the more patriotic military for quite some time. How long have they been loosening up things like the restrictions for the physical fitness and stuff like that? Quite some time. Quite some time. In fact, I remember some of that in Obama's first term. So, they've been slowly, the frog in the boiling pot of water, slowly doing this to our military and changing the direction of the mental mindset of the average military member. Now again, I want to emphasize that we're still talking about a small group. We're not talking about all of, right? That being said, and I need to make this clear too, if they were given those orders, I guarantee you the large bulk of them would refuse. Guaranteed. There's not a whole lot of true dirt bags. I'm going to try to keep it somewhat friendly. I'm thinking about going to Rumble and making my rant videos and keep it family friendly here. But anyway, he's a dirtbag for what he did, and I don't think that there's too many Jason Bergmans in the military even today. That's a good thing. That's not really what I'm so concerned about anyway. I'm more concerned about foreign troops, NATO troops, UN troops. I'm much more concerned about individuals that aren't even from here. Because, I mean, hell, we'll go over to Afghanistan and blow the hell out of that place under false pretenses, won't we? Not good when you're the target. But anyway, I want to get to this thing, and I want to play Little Miss Got It All Wrong's video. I got a couple of things to say, as you might guess. Anyway, here's the winch, and here's her whatever.
What's up, TikTok? So this happened.
This is a message for our United States military, the Air Force, the Army, the Marines, the Navy, Coast Guard, SpaceX.
SpaceX? You mean the program that was made by the guy who makes Teslas? Space Force, my guy. Moving right along.
Everybody that considers himself a person that would defend this fucking country. Where are you?
I'm at work, defending this fucking country.
We thought the military took an oath to protect this country. They took an oath to protect our Constitution. That includes enemies, foreign and domestic.
We did take that oath to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You know, domestic. Like a woman who decided to drive her vehicle through a National Guard vaccination tent. But keep that same energy.
Where are you, military? Because if you're leaving it up to the American people, you need to let us know, because everybody's on the edge of their seat. You've got millions and millions of gun owners that are ready to walk out and just start a complete fucking bloodbath. And we're beginning to wonder where our fucking military.
I mean, I'm no expert, but that sounded like a terroristic threat. Because not you talking about a bunch of gun owners going out and starting a bloodbath. Like, have you never heard of the Insurrection Act? There's reasons why the military doesn't deploy within the U.S. And if they did, your little good old boy system is not going to fare well for you. Understand that if active duty military actually get deployed within the United States, that weapon is not just pointed at other people, other countries. It's pointed at you. If you do not get in your house when I tell you to, you become the enemy. Martial law, you know, where your rights get curtailed. You don't have all those same freedoms that the Constitution guarantees at that point. So be careful what you wish for and stop opining about things you don't understand. Okay, bye.
Okay. I just got breaking news that all of New Orleans is out of power right now due to Hurricane Ida. So anyway, you heard what she has to say. And I got something to say for her and any of that small fringe in the U.S. military that decide to be so ignorant. There is one thing that is more important than anything about a battlefield. That is knowing your terrain. So if you think you're just going to waltz into the United States of America and just take it over when it's such a small fringe, and I'm speaking just of the U.S. military that would follow those orders, you have no idea. If you don't know your terrain, you have to understand, the moment that the American people get word of what you're doing, they ain't gonna have it. It's gonna be short-lived. I can guarantee you that. Now, I want to say that no one should be driving a vehicle through a vaccination tent. I mean, Jesus. But don't sit here and act like martial law and telling somebody to get back in their house or go ahead. Go ahead, do it. Do it. I want to see you. I'll tell you one thing. The American people have a valid concern about the direction of their leadership and what they're trying to do to military, law enforcement, private and government agencies. Hello, BATFE. FBI, I mean, you name it. FDA, every one of them. Hell, at this time, you can't trust the Education Association. Kind of shocking, in my opinion. And at some point, it will reach a level that the American people absolutely will not put up with it. We may have found the straw that breaks the camel's back. I don't know. Time will tell. Anyway, we've got quite a few headlines since Friday, so I'm gonna jump in them and make them so, Captain. Be glad when we can go back to our regular channel. We can't, well, I'm going to be uploading all the shows to the regular channel as soon as the Queen allows us to participate back at our normal home. I'm going to upload all the videos that are missing, and then we'll just go from there. So I can't wait, though, because I know a lot of people don't know that we're over here, because I can't post anything at all over there. Not even a post. I can't make a video and upload the video. I can't go, obviously I can't go live. Can't do nothing. So my hands are like held behind my back. They like it like that. Alright. Let me get you switched over views here. And I've been busy working on a website. So that is going to be incredible when it's finished. It's getting pretty close. pretty close. I've still got I've still got a fair amount of back end work to do, but the front end's pretty well just where it needs to be. So, yep. Anyway, we have a few vapes. Yummy, yummy. Quite a few headlines. Quite a bit of stuff has gone on since I've seen you. Alright. Starting with stuff from Friday. Can you collect unemployment if you refuse COVID-19 vaccine and get fired? And essentially, I'll save you reading the article, they say not necessarily. Not necessarily, because, well, it is what it is, right? They're come hell or high water. Come hell or high water. Water better get awful damn deep around here, I'll tell you that. New York jail where Jeffrey Epstein was found dead to close amid reports of dire conditions and sloppy security. Cop who killed Ashley Babbitt during Capitol riot says knowing she was unarmed would not have changed decision to shoot. How do you like them apples? Taliban claims at least 28 of its members killed in Kabul blast, vows to step up security, but no deadline extension. Again, this is Friday's news. There's been a lot that even happened that came out today. So, U.S. Supreme Court sides with landlords as it blocks federal eviction moratorium, putting millions at risk of homelessness. Russia's foreign exchange reserves increased by $1.8 billion in 1 week. Cuba about to join the crypto revolution. Spain's evacuation of Afghanistan ends. Diplomatic staff removed to Dubai. Almost 2,000 Afghans flown to safety. Again, Friday's news. President Biden says U.S. could very well have given evacuees names to the Taliban as he faces criticism after deadly Kabul attack. Russian communist politician calls for Putin-supporting ruling party to be declared extremist organization just like ISIS. A threat of more attacks increase as Afghanistan withdrawal deadline draws closer, says UK Defence Minister. EU's Brexit negotiator challenges French President Macron from the right in upcoming election. I don't know where I get the word after from. Let's see. Protect your wallets. China urges citizens to stay away from cryptocurrencies. UK government says every effort was made to destroy papers naming Afghan embassy workers amid anger over data protection blunder. China reaches new milestone, 2 billion vaccines administered in the fight against COVID-19. UK won't process any more people for evacuation as its military mission in Afghanistan enters final hours. Excuse me. Huge fire breaks out in Leamington Spa, sending black smoke billowing above British town. This wouldn't have happened if I was president. Trump blasts Biden and chaos in Afghanistan after U.S. soldiers killed in Kabul. Ahead of next month's Russian elections, Western regime change activists are laying the groundwork for a new East-West standoff. A historic cocaine seizure. Montenegro foils attempt to smuggle over 1 ton of cocaine in shipment of bananas. That would be over 2,000 pounds of some awesome bananas. Mexican researchers claim to have manufactured face masks that neutralizes COVID. Brussels claims Russian import ban of European products in response to EU sanctions on Moscow is illegal. Russia fines Dutch site Booking.com $17.5 million for abusing its position as the country's leading hotel reservation aggregator. Aggregator, that's the word. Let's see. We'll have to go back to Afghanistan to get ISIS and Al-Qaeda, Obama's security chief Panetta says after U.S. deaths in Kabul. Danish nurses deeply disappointed after lawmakers quashed their strike with emergency law. Taliban vows to protect portraits of Queen Elizabeth II in UK's Kabul embassy after chaotic exit, says reports. You know, it's really interesting because, I'd heard word that they might possibly be having some type of sensitivity training when it comes to women going to like, I guess, school and work and stuff like that. So I don't know how true that is. But if that is indeed true, then I'm sure they do have factions starting up wanting to take them down. Because I'll tell you what, that sounds like an awful westernized Taliban to me. I'm just saying, I mean, now you got to understand, the U.S. government's not telling you that the Taliban are the ones that killed 13 U.S. service members and a whole lot of Afghans. That's not the U.S. government telling you that. Nope, they're telling you that ISIS-K, a different group, is responsible for it. Okay? A different boogeyman. Now, I'll remind you again that it sounds like this Taliban is awful westernized. Russia to kit out warships with new air carrier killer rockets as naval standoff with West in high seas continue to heat up. Bomb and arson squad called the Gateway Arch, but nothing was found. Not dangerous. Somebody probably just broke their shoelace. No, I mean, how many times does that wind up a bunch of nothing? I mean, I don't know. I think there's too much living in fear. Austria's former Vice Chancellor Strachey maintains his innocence after court finds him guilty of corruption over Ibiza affair. Let's see. With Russia and China cooperating militarily, America must deal with two peer opponents for the first time, says U.S. Strategic Command head. That's something to keep up there, and that's a fact. I mean, that's common sense. We knew that, but it's like every day that bond between Russia and China gets stronger and stronger. Fire tears through Chinese skyscrapers. Debris falls on the streets below. But did it fall at its own footprint? That's what I want to know. Did that fire melt those steel beams? No? Interesting. Okay. There's going to be another skyscraper fire also in the headlines. And you know what? Yeah. Fire didn't make it fall on its own footprint. Or fall or collapse. No. I guess fire just can't melt steel beams. Not that kind of fire. Russian-Finnish trade turnover surges 16% this year. Microsoft reveals thousands of cloud database customers were vulnerable to data breach. Spin doctoring. UK government slammed over PR playbook telling NHS to describe renovations and add-on buildings as a new hospital, or new hospitals. Beirut blast inquiry judge told by Parliament that issuing subpoena for caretaker PM is excessive use of power. Let's see. Tbilisi mayor slams Estonian president after she says Georgia and Ukraine can't join EU for 2 more decades. A Ukrainian opposition leader facing high treason trial implores European Court of Human Rights to intervene in political case. I need a drink of tea or something. Smack upside the head. My record's skipping. Let's see. There also are people Myanmar military rulers promised to vaccinate minority Rohingya against COVID. Panjshir resistance is 2 guys who want war to continue, Taliban spokesman tells Russian media, dismissing tribal militia threat. European journalists slam Ukraine Zelensky for banning independent media outlet Strana and threatening press independence. Pentagon says only 1 suicide bomber in Kabul airport attack. And again, we're still on Friday here. Court to hear parole request from neo-Nazi mass murderer Anders Breivik. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. 10 years after deadly attacks. No longer a critical threat, Denmark says COVID-19 under control and lifts all pandemic-related restrictions next month. Texas House advances controversial voting bill after Speaker bans word racism amid 12-hour-long debate. 2 Britons and child of British national killed in Kabul airport bomb attack, says UK Foreign Secretary. Sweden ends Kabul evacuation missions as Stockholm acknowledges that it couldn't rescue everyone on its list. So that was Sweden, and they couldn't quite get everybody out. Chaos, tears, and stampede. Witness of Kabul airport blast tells RT what he saw as he was trying to save his family members. Chinese 3-dose vaccine 82% effective against severe COVID-19 infection, the developer says. Polish military finishes first 6 kilometers of barbed wire wall on Belarusian border, minister says, to halt migrant influx. Elon Musk accuses Jeff Bezos of retiring so he could pursue a job of filing lawsuits against SpaceX. Let's see. German university in hot water after discriminatory job ad for anti-discrimination counselor. CDC director blasted for going on CNN to talk about serious public health threat of gun violence. As Delta variant rages, St. Petersburg studies finds Sputnik V vaccine as 81% effective at preventing COVID hospitalizations. Florida judge shoots down Republican governor's ban on mask mandates in schools. New Orleans mayor urges people to evacuate as Hurricane Ida strengthens, likely to hit city on anniversary of Katrina disaster. Fresh appeal from news organizations against purported persecution of free press in Russia deserves attention, the Kremlin says. And yeah, we are still on Friday. Let's see. Please go on with new conflicts. Washington war hawk John Bolton calls for pressure on Pakistan amid Afghanistan disaster. White House reporter decides to ask about Biden's dog in the middle of Afghanistan crisis. Taliban orders Kabul residents to hand over weapons, ammo, and state property. U.S. report on COVID-19 origins finds intelligence community divided between lab leak and animal exposure theories. UK's Afghan embassy Twitter account with 100,000 plus followers abruptly deleted as British evacuation ends. Parole board votes to release Robert F. Kennedy's assassination following his 16th parole hearing that went unopposed. U.S. military says it carried out drone strike targeting ISIS-K member in eastern Afghanistan. Now we're to yesterday's news. Let's see. I demand accountability. U.S. Marine relieved of duty after blasting senior leaders for poorly planned Afghan exit in viral clip. And I would say that this is one of those types of individuals that wouldn't have on firing on American citizens. Canadian PM Trudeau's campaign rally axed over safety reasons after irate protesters descend on event. Chicago mother says judge stripped her of parental rights after learning she wasn't vaccinated against COVID-19. So now they're doing that. That insane or what? Stripped of parental rights because she wasn't vaccinated. That is insane. All-electric future comes at a huge cost. Sochi gambling zone to be adapted into Russian Las Vegas. China slams fabricated U.S. intelligence report on COVID-19 origins and says it's a matter for scientists and not spies. Let's see. Amazon pulls plug on jihadist propaganda app run through its servers. 2 people die in Japan after receiving Moderna COVID-19 shots from batch that was withdrawn due to foreign material in some vials. Bodybuilder star of top UK TV show jailed for 6 years over blackmail and torture plot with order to break victims' legs using a hammer. Yikes. Russia's biggest automaker to kickstart production of electric cars in 2027. Let's see. Everybody has to buy a rifle, damn it. Brazilian President Bolsonaro tells his supporters. 4 years will go fast. Don't waste time on Iranian people. Khamenei tells new cabinet at first formal meeting. Civilians were allegedly shot and killed by U.S. forces during Kabul airport bombing mayhem. Eyewitnesses tell BBC. S&P 500 passes historic mark of 4,500 points after U.S. Fed Chair Powell's speech. Russia's monthly death toll with COVID tops record 50,000 as nation battles Delta variant. Russia could sell Nord Stream 2 to European operator to evade EU access limitations, says German media. FBI agent tasked with investigating sex crimes against children is charged with sex crimes against children. That is insane. Let's see. Iran can respond to America's other options. A top official replies after Biden says he's ready to act should diplomacy fail. Let's see. Teen mental health hospitalizations rise by 57% during lockdowns in Victoria, says a state report. Czech PM says Schengen not working, urges inclusion of Balkan states to protect Europe from illegal migrants. Let's see. Looks like thousands watch protesters clog London and march against vaccine passports. Let's see. This Has Gotta Stop. Eric Clapton's new song triggers discussion around COVID-19 measures. It's actually a decent tune. Cat locked in abandoned house for 2 months survives. Bill Maher tells Americans to quit complaining about the U.S. after Afghan disaster, earning him praise from Ted Cruz. U.S. pulling troops out of Kabul airport after devastating attack. 2 high-profile ISIS targets killed, says the Pentagon. Again, we're still on yesterday's news. Biden says new attack on Kabul airport highly likely within the next 24 to 36 hours. Clear attack on Afghan territory. Taliban condemns U.S. strike allegedly targeting ISIS planner behind deadly Kabul blast. CIA tweets CIA interview with CIA. Viewers react to suddenly released eerily prophetic CNN interview with ISIS-K commander. Huh? Let's see. Little Britain meets the thick of it. Boris Johnson slammed for clumsy photo op in Afghanistan crisis center. A Gold Star mother of U.S. Marine killed in Kabul attack blast. Biden, dementia-ridden piece of crap, blames his supporters. And I'm sure many of you have heard that audio. And it is gut-wrenching. Final UK military flight departs from Kabul airport as British campaign in Afghanistan ends. Nothing better to do. CDC mocked for tweeting about inclusive language guide as COVID-19 rages. They want you to be woke and poked. Ilhan Omar praises chaotic Afghanistan evacuation as inspiring while critics call for Biden's resignation. Hurricane Ida intensifies rapidly, will become one of the strongest storms to hit Louisiana since at least the 1850s, the governor warns. And again, this is yesterday's news. And believe it or not, I called that out, and Jen is my witness, before they started saying that. Let's see. California teacher takes down U.S. flag because it made her uncomfortable, invites student to pledge allegiance to pride colors. U.S. Embassy in Afghanistan urges Americans to avoid traveling to the Kabul airport due to specific credible threat. Again, yesterday's news. Now we are to this morning's news. Autopilot Tesla hits police cruiser and another car in Florida in a near-miss incident that left 2 people injured. Blue just hopped. Russia's Yandex picks Paris to launch new food delivery service that promises speed. China eases regulations on Hainan to let foreign firms work under the same rules as Chinese companies. Israel strikes Gaza in retaliation for incendiary balloon attacks by Hamas and border clashes. I gotta have a drink of tea. Oh yeah, and a vape. We're on the home stretch though. Moderna vaccinations halted in Japan's Okinawa after black substances found in vial days after another batch of jab was suspended. China combs through online content that badmouths its economy. NFL in clash with players' union over push for COVID vaccination mandate ahead of new season. Apparently, several of them ain't having it either. FBI agent tried to profit financially from knowledge of Michigan governor kidnapping plot, defense lawyers claim. Police set up checkpoints to deter people from spotting orcas swimming near Wellington Harbor. OPEC Plus may revise terms of output deal and cancel 400,000 BPD boost, says Kuwait. I'm sure barrels per day. Explosion reported in Kabul. Photos show smoke over the city. Global turn towards clean energy propels unprecedented demand for computer chips, and they're asking if semiconductors are going to be the new oil, and it's possible. I mean, it is possible. NFL star McKenzie backs down and gets COVID vaccine just days after being hit with hefty fine. Let's see. Taliban says U.S. airstrike hits suicide bomber targeting airport. Hurricane Ida strengthens into extremely dangerous Category 4 storm ahead of landfall on U.S. Gulf Coast. And of course, as you know, it's already made landfall. Russia looks to reward electric vehicle buyers with rebates and toll-free roads. Ahead of next month's Russian parliamentary elections, are cracks now opening in the popularity of the pro-Putin ruling party. Switzerland's vaccination centers could be targeted by terrorists, the nation's intel agency warns. U.S. airstrikes suicide vehicle posing imminent threat to Kabul airport, says Pentagon. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll at Thai COVID-19 hospital as orgies footage and stashes of cigarettes discovered in a police raid. So the COVID-19, really? It was horrible in there. It was horrible. Turkey has no hesitations about buying second batch of Russian-made S-400 missile systems, Erdogan says. Turkey poised to recognize Taliban as Afghanistan's government expected to sign deal to operate Kabul airport after U.S. exit, says reports. Hurricane Ida make landfall on Louisiana coast with 150-mile-per-hour winds and devastating surge. A massive fire erupts in a high-rise residential building in Milan, and again, I don't think it fell on its own footprint. Blinken denies giving Taliban list of Americans and Afghan allies, but then says U.S. turned over names for busloads of evacuees. 3 kids killed in U.S. drone strike targeting Kabul suicide bombers, says reports. Biden sets off fresh outrage by appearing to check his watch at ceremony for U.S. service members killed in Kabul airport bombing. 47 detained after rally against vaccination mandate clashes with police in Athens, Greece. Let's see. Ida knocks out power to entire city of New Orleans. I said that at the top of the show is breaking news. And this just came out. North Korea has apparently restarted its Yongbyon nuclear reactor, IAEA says, citing satellite imagery. So, they're doing that. Who knows? Who knows? I didn't even catch real closely that headline about Iran and what what was said to them. So I'll tell you what, crazy, crazy times are afoot. There is no doubt about that. And the answer, as always, is the same. Just keep getting ready. We're sliding. We're sliding. And we don't control the speed and we don't control the depth. But there is things we can do to help minimize the effect. Anyway, hang in there. Have a good night. We will be back tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love